Okay, boomer. Many say it's a slur, and many people are dumb cunts. Today we're going to be watching a Jubilee video on whether or not okay, boomer is a slur. It seems we have this person might be a boomer. I'm not sure. This lady doesn't seem to be a boomer, and this person's definitely not a boomer. So we seem to be doing the 3v3 format, unless this person is a boomer. You can't really see because their head is turned. But yeah, let's find out. Is okay, boomer a slur? Now, obviously it's not. Now, ageism. What is ageism? An ageist slur, to be clear. So, ageism is basically discrimination based on age. And the number one perpetrators of this, ironically enough, are boomers. And at boomers, it's usually used as a mindset, right? When someone acts like a boomer, you call them a boomer, no matter what their age is. But, however, generally, it's old people infantilizing and talking down to young people. That's ageism. And there's other forms of ageism where, you know, society sort of looks down on older people, but generally, old people aren't really oppressed. So it's kind of hard to argue that when someone says, okay, boomer, whenever an old person says some dumb shit, that is ageist. But let's go ahead and see their arguments.
I don't trust the younger generation in terms of values because I don't even think they know what it is that they value.
Is okay, boomer ageist? We just got it. That's exactly what I just talked about. That was ageism. That is literally what ageism is. That's also true. Ageism is prejudice plus power, and you can't be ageist against boomers because they're the most privileged class on earth. That's true. Yeah, nursing homes are pretty fucked up. I really hope one of them says okay, boomer to a boomer in this video. I need that in my life. The entitlement generation. Oh my god, how fucking... That's the funny thing. It's old people who, the boomers who experience some of the best economic growth and economic prosperity in the world because their parents fucking went overseas to fight in World War II. And all of our... Do you guys know why American boomers had such a prosperous upbringing when it came to the economy? It's because back during World War II, all the factories and industry and whatnot in Europe got fucking annihilated during World War I and II. And so America, being geographically so far away from where the fighting was happening, we were able to basically build up our industry and there was a lot of economic prosperity. There were a lot of factory workers back during the 50s and 60s, and sometimes even into the 70s. Though that's when outsourcing really started to happen, and we got on the decline. You know, that grew up very, very prosperous because you could raise a family with a single income household being a factory worker. Because back then, all of the industry was destroyed in Europe. Europe was buying from us. We had basically like a reverse China situation where we buy everything's manufactured in China and we buy everything from China. Everything was manufactured in America and everyone was buying things from America. There was so much money being pumped into our economy. Even fucking factory workers are making a ton of money. Now there's no going back to that. We can't do it. Protectionism is stupid. With a combination of the fact that these corporations aren't going to bring back their manufacturing to America because it's cheaper than any tax break that the president could offer for companies that do native manufacturing, as well as what's it called? Yeah, Bernie was dumb about that. That was one of the dumbest things that was one of the few things I disagreed with Bernie about, but he was doing it for populism's sake. He was doing it so that people would be like, yeah, bring the jobs back. But it's just unrealistic. It's never happening. That's what we had going on. And so they were able to, the boomer generation was experiencing so much economic prosperity. They had it so fucking easy as their parents went to war in World War II and whatnot. And now they've gotten older, and the millennial generation and Generation X or Generation Z, Gen X, Gen Z, yeah, every generation after the boomers has had it worse and worse and worse. And now Gen Z is projected to have the hardest time economically of any generation in American history since the Great Depression. Not to mention, we're about to go into a depression, massive housing crisis, eviction crisis due to coronavirus. So right now, I'm 21 years old. I just reach like actual legal adulthood. I mean, 21 is when you're actually an adult, right? You're still basically a kid at 18, 19, kind of 20, right? I'm 21 years old now. I'm considered like an actual adult legally. And now there's a worldwide pandemic happening that's going to fucking annihilate the economy. Now, I'm very, very lucky that I have this as my job that isn't impacted too badly by coronavirus. If it gets so bad that you guys don't have enough money to donate, then I'm kind of fucked. But if I wasn't doing this, that all of Gen Z is coming up and is going to become adults during a fucking economic crisis because of Corona. Not to mention, even when Corona wasn't a thing, the value of college diplomas and college diplomas is going down while the cost of college is going up. It's getting harder and harder to support yourself without with a college or high school degree. Nowadays, a high school diploma isn't enough to do well. Generally, you have to get some kind of college degree, something, for most well-paying jobs. It happened to millennials as well, but Gen Z is projected to get the worst. So the entitlement generation, no. Most of Gen Z culture is heavily influenced by the hardships that are faced and that were caused by the boomer generation. The reason why there is so much animosity from Gen Zers to boomers is because boomers caused all these fucking problems, in part with millennials and Gen Xers. It's like a human centipede. It's unironically like human centipede, you know? The boomers are the ones at the front that get to eat the food and they shit in the mouth of like the Gen Xers and the Gen... I don't remember. Are millennials and Gen Xers the same? We'll say millennials. They shit in the mouth of the millennials that get it pretty bad, but then the millennials shit in the mouths of the Zoomers, and the Zoomers at the end are like, hey, this sucks. And the boomers at the very beginning are like, you entitled little brats. And the Gen Zers are like, okay, boomer. And they're like, how could you ageism? Okay. Boomer doesn't necessarily mean, like, refer to old people. Boomer's a mindset. You can have the boomer mindset and not actually be a baby boomer. This is the most boomer shit right now. It's when you say okay boomer to somebody who's like my parents are millennials. My mom's 40 years old. She's a millennial. I'll say okay boomer to her, and she'll say, I'm not a baby boomer. That doesn't work. I'm not a baby boomer. And that's the thing. It's a compilation of your age. It can refer to somebody who's of an age, while also a mindset. Ben Shapiro and Charlie Kirk are boomers. My mom's a boomer. Bernie Sanders is literally a baby boomer, but not a boomer. Nobody calls Bernie Sanders a boomer. Nobody does. Because Bernie Sanders doesn't have the mindset of a boomer. He's got the mindset of a zoomer. He's super progressive. He's based as fuck. He's a nice dude. He's not, he doesn't talk down to young people. He talks about how young people are the future and how they have to deal with all the economic despair, the economic despair that is caused by older generations that have ruined the earth for us and left the economy in ruins. He realizes how important younger generations are. That's why he's not a boomer. It's the baby boomers have to deal with. That was particularly unfortunate for them. Having parents that fought in like 2 or 3 wars. I think the baby boomer generation, their parents fought in 3 wars, right? Korean War, World War II, Vietnam, Korea, right? 3 wars. Yeah, it was pretty libby. It was some lib shit. I'm not wrong there, right? Any historians in chat? World War II, Korea, Vietnam. I may be correct. At least 2 wars. The baby boomer generation had parents that fought. The boomers fought in Vietnam. The boomers fought in Vietnam? No, their parents fought in Vietnam. Some of the boomers fought in Vietnam. Like, the really old boomers might have fought in Vietnam if they were, like, 18 or of age or whatever. But generally, when we talk about, like, the baby boomer generation, their parents are the ones that fought in the wars while they were just fucking off at home and protesting war, which is great, but they didn't really get it all that hard. What struggle did they go through? Oh, World War II was the silent generation. I had it messed up. Yeah, it would have been the 60s that we had. 50s and 60s is when we had the Vietnam War and the Korean War. Okay.
I personally don't.
That guy's not a boomer. That guy's not a boomer. As far as what we just saw right there, I wouldn't call that dude a boomer. That was like a, oh, that's funny. Like, he just kind of laughed it off. A boomer gets fucking triggered about it. That's boomer shit. That dude was actually kind of based there, like, oh, that's kind of funny. That fucking king. Okay. Boomers, the ones in power, ought to fucking try and solve it then. Like, Gen Z, I think the youngest person in government in the US is like, I'm pretty sure is fucking Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I'm pretty sure she's doing a lot more, at least rhetorically speaking, for to fix these issues than the boomers are, besides like Bernie, who's not a boomer, because it's a mindset. The boomers aren't doing anything about it. Yeah, she's the youngest person ever. They're the ones literally arguing. They're literally the ones marching against police brutality and police killings. Of course they value life. They're the most anti-war generation ever. Gen Z is.
Someone in this generation would have to take care of me. They don't understand me. They don't know anything about me.
If I was there, I would not be able to resist saying, okay, boomer, back at her. I'm sorry. She has the Karen haircut, too. She does. Kinda. You know, the boomers are still doing everything they can to take it away, you know? Especially the Trump administration. And that wasn't boomers. That was like young people back when the boomers were already adults. Now, there have been individual boomers who took parts in that, but boomers are still fighting back against that.
Baby boomers in those protests that got us where we are today.
Wait,
I was a young gay boy and couldn't even.
Was she born? Oh, he's gay. Fucking Pog. What a king. Wait, was she born in 2014, or she would have to have been born in 2015? You do realize gay marriage was federally legalized in 2015, right? That was 5 years ago. Gay marriage became federally legal. Lean over, King. You dropped your crown. I need to... I hate Jubilee. Oh, God. It's so fucking cringy. That went by a lot faster than I thought it would. It's only been 24 minutes. Oh, Jesus. Okay. I don't even know what to say in response to that. That one old gay dude's a fucking king. Not a boomer at all. Now, is it possible for the boomer generation to leave things better than they were? Probably, but it's not happening. The main issue is boomers are probably the most entitled. That's why when they call Gen Zers entitled, it's usually massive projection. It's as simple as that. It's really as simple as that. Boomers are in power, and they're not really doing anything. They really aren't. And that's the issue. Generation Z has to pick up all the pieces from what boomers left behind. Will we leave the world a better place? We'll try. But, I mean, I can't see in the future. So at least when it comes to LGBT rights, we probably will, but there's only so much we can do to push back against climate change. Gen Z is just too young to get into government at this point. When AOC is the youngest person ever sworn into Congress, I mean, it's the start of something good, I can only hope, but it's a bleak future ahead with boomers controlling everything. We gotta carry the fucking weight of the world on our backs while the boomers die off and get to pass away having not really experienced the consequences for their actions.